Hey guys, wanted to check in with everybody, let them know that I finally hit 300 miles on my CFMoto 600 Touring, um, and I'm gonna do a 300 mile review. Would I buy this machine again? Um, when I first bought the machine, um, I was completely impressed with it. It has been amazing. For everything that I've thrown at this machine. It has responded perfectly for everything I've done. Um, when I first bought it, it had a very nasty noise. Appeared to be coming from down around the lower area, like where the exhaust would run underneath the gas tank or along your right side of your knee. It turned out that it was actually my CVT primary, the CVT clutch, CVT clutch, um, and turned out that my the main nut was actually not torqued, so it was loose, and it was causing the primary, I guess, to shake and vibrate. And if you go back and look at some of my prior videos, it's pretty nasty. It's loud. Um, I'm glad I actually looked into it because it probably could have damaged some stuff. So, not blaming CFMoto. Things happen. Um, so I'm glad that I was able to get that taken care of. So 300 miles on this machine. I have driven it. I live in Pennsylvania. A lot of guys here call it Rocksylvania because it's loaded with rocks, and I'm talking rocks. Um, and a lot of black silt because they do a lot of coal mining out our way. So a lot of places that we ride is coal mining areas, stuff like that. So along with rocks. um, the machine has done phenomenal. Everything I have thrown at this machine, it has responded and performed perfectly. Um, I grew up with like Yamaha Warriors, Suzuki Quad Sports, the Banshees, the Quad Racers. Um, this is not one of those, and I didn't realize that utility machines ride the way they do. They're like Cadillacs. It's just going from a sport quad to one of these machines is just amazing. So anyway, so let's go over. I'm going to do some pros and cons after 300 miles. What I have found as a complaint um, for the cons, but I'm also going to go over some pros, and mostly pros that have sold me to buy this machine. I researched probably 50 to 100 hours of video. I was originally going to get a side by side, their 500 trail or their 800 trail or EX. I wasn't sure. And then I ended up leaning towards an ATV because the trailer that I had probably wasn't going to fit a side by side. And with the cost of the side by side and having to get another trailer, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to have to do it. So I said, you know what, screw it. I'll just get a four wheeler and see how that goes. I'm glad I did. So these were a couple pros that sold me on this machine. Obviously, the turning radius. This machine, I have a 2022, has a 15% tighter turning radius than last year's model or prior models. And when you get into a touring model, you're adding wheelbase. Turning radius is huge. So that was one thing that leaned me towards that. The second thing was obviously the CVT tech transmission. I hear nothing but great things about those, the company. The third thing was power steering. I couldn't believe when I got on this thing and actually started it and turned the handlebars. I was like, my God, you could literally turn it with like two fingers. It has a 2-inch hitch receiver, and I'm pretty sure it has a capability of towing up to close to 1,000 pounds. It has locking differential. It has a winch. Comes with a winch. It comes with brush guards on the handlebars. It also has two charging ports. One is a 12 volt, and then the other charging port is two USBs. So that's pretty much what sold me on this machine. And I think the MSRP when I bought it was $74.99. Now for $74.99, getting a machine, everything you get for that cost is just amazing. Now I could have spent $18,000 or $15,000 or $13,000 on something else, and I'm not knocking any of the other brands. Trust me, I have a Polaris. I chose to get this machine because of, one, the history on it. Two, the warranty. I have a 1 year warranty, 1 year tire to tire warranty, which is, they call it tire to tire, bumper to bumper. Excuse me. So I have a 1 year warranty. And I think it was like $400. I added 2 more years, and now I have a 3 year, 36-month tire to tire warranty. So I figure if anything's going to break, it's probably going to be in those first 3 years. So get the warranty. I don't think any other manufacturers offer a year. I know Yamaha offers like 10 years on the belt, but I don't think it's anything else as far as the tire to tire. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that was one of the big things also that sold me to this machine. The history on it. I understand that this company listens to its customers. This company, you know, when their customers have complaints and their customers have asks or wants, hey, can you change this, or next year's model, try to add that, or you know, do this or whatnot. They actually listen to their customers. They do their research and they listen. So that, to me, that was huge. Some cons. So the reason why I opted for a 600 was because obviously at the time, 2022, this year, there was a 400, a 500, a 600, an 800, and a 1000 cc machine. So I went with the middle. I went mid-range. I was originally going to get the 800. I sat on the 800 and I couldn't believe going from sport quads, which I rode all my life and younger. Like I said, I had a 230 Suzuki Quad Sport. I had multiple Yamaha Warriors. You know, I've ridden a lot of the two-stroke four-wheelers, the quad racers, the 250R4 tracks. I even rode the Ducatis. And I'm so used to those. But they're completely different machines. It's comparing apples to oranges, a sport quad to a utility machine. Going from something of that nature, of like I say, a 350 Warrior, which is what I had prior to getting this, it's like sitting on Godzilla, the 800 CFMoto, I think it's the XC. I couldn't believe how big this thing was. Now, the issue that I had at the time is I only had a 4-foot by 7-foot wide trailer. It was like a Tractor Supply trailer. So I was very limited on my width and very limited on my depth. The 800 was pushing the width of the trailer. So I kind of was like, nah, I better not, just to be safe, because then I'd have to go buy another trailer. I didn't even see the 1000 at the dealer. I can only imagine how much bigger the 1000 is than the 800. But one of the main reasons why I went with the 600 was, one, it was more economical for me, for my setup and what I had going on right at the time with the trailer. The other thing was the increase in the cc's. So I figured I'd go mid-range. You know, you add 200 cc's to jump up to an 800. You added 400 cc's, jump up to 1,000. You're burning more gas, right? So I wanted to keep it mid-range. The second issue that I have with this machine, and this is a beef, and I probably shouldn't be this way or think this way, and I know there's other machines that act like this, or their gauges are set like this. The gas gauge is not completely accurate. And if there are any other CFMoto 600 machines out there that are deadly accurate, hit me up and let me know in the comments, because I'll take mine back to the dealer and have them look at it. This is not a deal breaker in any way, and I would not deter somebody from not getting one of these because of this. The gas gauge, when I fill it, and I never run my machines down to empty, even my cars, I always, nothing below a quarter tank. So then, or nothing below a quarter tank. So I always top my machines off, or I fill them before I ride. And I think I've ridden this machine like 8 times since I've owned it in like 2-3 months. So I always stop at the gas station before I ride, and I fill the machine. So I never get to really see how far I can go if it runs out on empty. So the thing I don't like about it is when I fill it, the gas gauge is full. No complaint. The complaint I have is if I drive it for 3 hours, the gas gauge still shows full. If I shut the machine off, throw it on my trailer, drive it home, which I don't know if it's like a computer delay or a reset. As soon as I started to get it off the trailer, boop, it drops 3 bars to like 3/4 of a tank. It's not a deal breaker. It's just a crazy pet peeve that I like to see my gas dropping, even when I'm driving a vehicle. Because let's face it, if this was your car and you were driving your car, say 300 miles, and you filled it and you were driving halfway there, 150 miles, and your gas gauge didn't move, that's a problem. Because somewhere along the way, you're going to probably run out of gas, and it's going to say there's more gas in it than it should be. So I wish there was a little more accuracy there. That's just me. Some people do say that the best accuracy or the best gas gauge is your eye. So you open it up, you shake it, you look at it. You're never going to get anything better than that. At least that's what I'm told for a motorcycle or a four-wheeler. So that's that. So the third thing that drives me absolutely crazy, and if you watch a lot of reviews or a lot of first impression videos, you're going to find that there are a lot of people that hate the shift linkages on these ATVs. I don't know if, I'd like to say it's not the dealer, because I've seen them unboxing these and it looks like that whole side of the four-wheeler or the ATV is assembled. So I can't blame my dealer, but the shift linkage is horrible to shift. I have tried coming to a stop, putting my foot on the brake. That does seem to help, but then I have found that there's times it doesn't help. I have actually adjusted my shift linkage. I think I made it better, but it's not a deal breaker. It will still shift. One of the main reasons why I got the touring model versus the single seat was a couple things. One, I wanted to have the capability to have that extra seat just in case somebody wanted to ride with me, such as my wife. The cool thing is my 16-year-old son is just learning how to drive now, drive a car. He has never ridden an ATV in his life, ever. Never been near a motorcycle, dirt bike, four-wheeler. So I took him with me, probably 1 or 2 rides, and the cool thing about the touring model is I can switch with him. He can sit in front of me and drive this ATV, and I can coach him right literally over his shoulder, without having to have, like, a headset on or follow him with another four-wheeler. Being able to sit there, it has been awesome, not only for me but for his learning, that I can point right over his shoulder and say, hey, watch out for this rock coming up here on the right hand side, or hey, watch out for the stump that's laying over or coming out of the ground over there. If we're coming up a hill, pick the left line, don't go to the right. The other cool thing about it is if he comes to an area where he feels uncomfortable, like say crossing a deep puddle or climbing a hill, there's so much room on this seat that I can slide forward, push him up, he can move up, and I can literally, because the gas is right there, I don't have to do anything, just give it gas. I could literally drive the machine for him And then once we go through that obstacle or overtake that obstacle, hand it back to him, and then he can continue on with his ride. By doing that, by having the touring model, has allowed me to help him with his learning and knowledge of riding an ATV. Because I know as parents, we're uncomfortable. We throw our kids on them. They take off. They're gone. You know, can't see them, whatever. Or they take off and they freaking hit a tree, or they run it out into the street and hit a car, whatever. Being on the back of that thing, I'm able to actually, if something goes haywire, or he's going too fast, or he gets scared and says, "Dad, I can't stop," I can reach right over his arm, grab that handbrake, and stop the ATV. So that was one of the biggest selling points for me with why I really wanted the touring model. The other cool thing about having a touring model that a lot of people I don't think about is the group that I ride with. Most of them have ATVs, but there is a side-by-side that rides with us. There could be multiple side-by-sides that ride in your group. If that side-by-side were to break and all the other machines have no room on them, there's no room whatsoever. The other side-by-sides, they're all full. Seats are full. Somebody could stay with the machine, and you have the capability, because you have an open seat, to give that individual a ride back. They can either get tools, grab their truck and trailer, meet them wherever they need to meet them, or drive them right back to the broken machine. So having that extra seat for me was a great option, and I don't regret getting this machine. The other cool thing about this machine as well is the wheelbase. It's longer. The thing rides like a Cadillac. It is so soft. It's like riding on air. I have heard rumors, don't get mad at me, other CFMoto owners. I have heard rumors that the 600 is actually one of the nicest rides out of the whole. The 600 Touring is one of the nicest rides out of the whole line. That's what I heard. I'm quoting that from other people. That's not me saying that it is. Trying to think. Other than that, I mean, would I buy it again? I would. I would. The only issue, and this is by far no deal breaker, the only issue that I've ever had with this machine is I was riding one day and one of my riding buddies goes, "You lost the hubcap." And I'm like, "I thought my wheels were Ally, or I thought they were metal." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean I lost the hubcap? They have hubcaps?" So I got off and I looked, and sure enough, I did. I lost a little rubber cap that goes over the spindle nut. Their spindle nut for the axle holds the wheel on there, the hub. I went online, ordered one. I think it was like $3. If that's all that's happened so far in 300 miles, and I've ran this thing, I don't beat my machines, but I'm going to drive them. Not like I stole them, but I'm going to drive them, and I want them to respond the way I'm pushing them. This machine has given me everything I have thrown at it. I mean, I've used a winch. I've pulled my buddy out. He accidentally slipped into a mud hole. He was taking a different track, and the back wheel slipped. He fell in. I couldn't wait. I'm like, let's test out this winch. Pulled it out, and it's in one of my videos. Pulled it out, pulled him out. Worked great. I have towed with this machine. We had a Polaris Hawkeye in one of my videos. I didn't film that because I turned the camera off partway through the ride, but after I turned the camera off, the Polaris Hawkeye, which is an awesome little 400, I think it's a 400cc four-wheel drive. It might be a 350. Just a cool four-wheeler. It died. So I had to tow it. I didn't have to tow it far, but I towed it maybe 1,000 feet. But this was through trails and then out to a main road. I didn't even know it was back there. And the individual was on it, obviously steering it. So I've towed with it, out of the woods. I have winched with it. I have climbed with it. The only mud I've ever gone into, I'm going to say maybe 18 inches. That's max. I'm not one of those guys that goes out and spends $10,000 on a machine and takes it and sinks it immediately. I'm not that dude. Great, some guys are. That you know, to each your own. But I can't. I just can't do that. I just can't. So other than that, would I recommend this machine? Absolutely. Would I buy another one? Absolutely. I would buy another one tomorrow. But right now I only have this one. So I hope that helps anyone looking or considering buying the CFMoto brand. I have not had any issues. I'll do another review at 600 miles, let you guys know if anything is broke, if anything has happened, to get you up to speed. One tip I will give is I did the service on the machine. I will warn you that when you change the oil and you change the diffs, front and rear, all the fluid, the front and rear diffs don't hold a lot of fluid at all. And you're going to be surprised when you drain them that it's going to be like, that's it. Another thing I'll warn you is the break-in on the differentials. When I pulled that plug, there's a magnet on the bottom of it. Same with the oil. There's a lot of metal, very, very fine metal dust on those diff magnets. And from what I understand, I've talked to a lot of people, even with Polaris's, even with the Kawasaki's, the Yamahas, they see it too. To be expected. The oil looked pristine after 20 hours. I'm telling you, it looked no different than the brand new oil I was pouring in. I was shocked. The magnet on the bottom, spotless. I couldn't see hardly anything, if anything, was on that magnet. It looked like I was looking at brand new oil. So for a 20-hour break-in for a 600cc engine, and I didn't floor the machine during break-in, but the dealer kind of told me drive it. Just drive it. Don't wide open it. If you wide open it on a hill, don't do it long. A couple seconds just to get up the hill, but don't keep doing it all day long. I never took the machine above 40 miles an hour during break-in, and I was absolutely shocked that the oil looked as good as it did, and there was not a shred of metal flakes or dust anywhere on that oil magnet. So I'm going to end it with that, guys. Again, highly recommend it. It's been a great machine for me, and if you get one or you have one, I hope it's a great machine for you as well.